Anime fans out there, I'm your host Otaku Dad. Welcome back to Otaku Days. Today I am doing a top 5 video, and this is my top 5 favorite Pokemon. Number 5 on my list is Bisharp, the Dark Steel type Pokemon. His Pokedex number is 625, which is my birthday, which is part of the reason why I love him. We share that in common, 625. So, I love how he looks. The blades on his side, his stature. He looks like he's ready for battle at all times. I mean, even his shiny form with the blue is even badass looking. He is my go-to Pokemon when I go to fight fairy types, because I do use mainly dark type Pokemon. So he is my go-to when it comes to when it comes to fairies, because fairies are weak against steel. So I made sure my Bisharp has a couple steel type moves on hand to take care of those fairies. That's why Bisharp is number 5 on my list. Number 4 on my list is Ninetales. Ninetales is a beautiful Pokemon, whether we're talking about the original Kanto version or we're talking about the Alolan version. Both are such beautiful versions of itself. Ninetales has great... To me, I love the movesets of Ninetales. And the history of the Ninetales. Like, when Nine Wizards came together to create Ninetales, to make up Ninetales. I mean, that is amazing. I just wish that the Kanto version of Ninetales, which is just the fire typing, I wish they would, as soon as they came to doing dual typings, gave it a psychic typing on top of that. Ninetales really needed that psychic typing, with it being, according to its Pokédex entry, being made of 9 wizards. Then it would have the abilities of Psychic, Psyshock, and all those other psychic abilities it could use to make it an even more badass Pokemon than it already is. That's why Ninetales is number 4 on my list. Number 3, Lycanroc Midnight Form. Oh my gosh, I love this Pokemon. It is my favorite Pokemon out of the entire Alola region. I just love how it looks. I love its moveset. I mean, it's just such a badass Pokemon. And a lot of people tell me they don't like it because of how it looks with the long, lanky arms. But to me, it's like, that's how a werewolf should look. And Lycanroc looks like is supposed to be a werewolf Pokemon. Or at least his Midnight form is supposed to be the werewolf Pokemon. To me, he looks like how he should. When you see those movies, when you see the newer movies with the werewolves, and they have the wolf face to them and not the human face and the whole body covered in fur, they look like how Lycanroc looks, with the long arms. They have those long arms so they could run on all fours if needed, but they don't. They have incredible speed just on 2. Lycanroc has that same feature. Like I said, Lycanroc made number 3 on this list just because he is a badass Pokemon that a lot of people do underestimate and don't like just because of how he looks. So, now on to number 2. Number 2 is a Pokemon I'm pretty sure everybody here adores. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that don't like him. Eevee. Eevee is one of my favorite Pokemons due to the fact it does have so many forms it can change into, and so many forms it has potential to turn into. If Game Freak and Pokemon give it that chance. I mean, you can go online and find a bunch of different Eevee evolutions for the forms we don't, for the types we don't have yet. They are all so awesome looking and cool. So I'd love to see Game Freak and Pokemon sit there and do that. Come up with a new one or two more evolutions into release. Main reason why Eevee's my favorite, though, is because Eevee actually started my love of dark types. When I was younger, for my birthday, when the year after Gold and Silver came out, I finally got the game for my birthday. Well, I lived out in a rural area where or not rural. I would say a country area where my closest neighbor was an hour to maybe an hour and a half away until you got into town. So when I was playing these games, when I got Eevee on my team, I'd play with Eevee as one of my main Pokemon, due to the fact that foxes are one of my favorite animals, and I loved Eevee as much as I loved Ninetales from Generation 1. So I took those Pokemon, and I took Eevee, and I went through and I trained him. Well, when night hit, Eevee evolved into Umbreon. And I just loved how Umbreon looked, with the yellow circles, the big bright red eyes, and that midnight black fur. I mean, I just absolutely fell in love with this Pokemon. And then I sat there and went to my Pokedex, read about it, dark type, all the information on it. I just absolutely loved it. I'm like, this is so cool. And then I'm going through and fighting psychic types, found out psychic types did absolutely nothing had no effect against these dark types. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. In Generation 1, psychic types were our biggest pain in the butts to fight against. So now I have this Pokemon that can go against these dark types. Well, like I said, I lived out in a country area, and when I was younger, we didn't have internet or TV in the house, so I couldn't look up information. Not that the internet was that reliable back then for information. So when I went to school and I asked some of the kids I knew played the games, they sat there and told me about these other dark types: Houndoom, Houndour, Tyranitar, Markrow, and Sneasel. I'm like, I have to go out and catch these Pokemon. So I did, and it made like I said, Eevee started my entire love of the dark type Pokemon just by evolving into Umbreon. That's why Eevee is number 2 on this list. Well, Eevee / Umbreon, 'cause Umbreon is my second favorite Pokemon of all time. But I give the spot to Eevee, because without Eevee, I wouldn't have Umbreon. So, my number 1 on this list is the Master of Darkness, the Dark-type Pokemon himself, Darkrai. Darkrai is my all-time favorite Pokemon. I have not seen a Pokemon I love as much as Darkrai. Ever since Generation 5, 4. Ever since Generation 4, Darkrai has been on my team. I mean, what can I say about this Pokemon? With the ability Dark Void, or the attack Dark Void, puts your opponent's Pokemon to sleep, and then it has the ability attached to it called Nightmare, which eats away at your opponent's health. You can go in with your Shadow Ball and do more damage while it's asleep. And then, when the movie came out, Darkrai sat there and sacrificed itself to stop Palkia and Dialga from destroying the entire universe. I mean, this Pokemon is so awesome. And the fact that Dark types get such a bad rep because of some of their moves like Taunt, Theft, Thief, and moves like that. Sucker Punch. I mean, with these move sets, everyone looks down upon Dark types as bad Pokemon. I mean, even in Japan, it's not classified as Dark type; it's classified as the evil typing. I mean, but Darkrai sat there and sacrificed itself for everyone's sake. It goes to show that you can't sit there and judge a Pokemon by its typing. I mean, I have a buddy whose favorite Pokemon is his Charizard, and he's traded it from Gen 1 to Gen 2, and then Gen 2 to Gen 3. I mean, he keeps trading it to the new generation of game. And he uses that to sit there and fight. And he beats water-type Pokemon with it, and it's a fire-type. Fire-type is weak against water. But like I said, those are my top 5 favorite Pokemon. Tune in next time, because next time I am going to do my top 5 least favorite Pokemon. As always, I'm your host, Yamino Mugen, and peace.